Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Yeah, we are back again with a new parasha. Today we are in the book of Devarim with the PARASHAH EKIEV, which means on the hill, which is connected from the roots to the word Yaakov. But it means also the consequences, and as we read in the first verse of this parasha, which go from Devarim 7:12 to 11:25. I read for you. Then beware, so beware, lest you forget Jehovah, which brought thee forth out of the land of Mitzrayim, from the house of bondage. So it's already beware. This means it will have a consequence if we don't do what Jehovah is telling us. So this parasha is very interesting. Once again, context is the last month of the 40 years of the life of Moshe, who will not enter the land of Canaan, but give the leadership to Yehoshua, the son of Nun. And this parasha again bring back all the teaching from Moshe to the former generation who died in the wilderness because of their rebellion, because the lack of trust in Jehovah. So here is preparing the new generation, the last generation, to enter the promised land. And of course, there are many things we can learn, and I will give you a link and encourage you, for those who are thirsty, to watch this video with 30 minutes from a sister who has a very interesting approach on certain point of this parasha, not all, because it's so rich. Now we will see here that Elohim is always encouraging the people that he will be always with them as he is with us today. So when we read the parasha, we have to understand that we can transfer easily from the time it was spoken to the children of Israel to our generation, not in the context of life, because the context of life has changed. We are not in the desert of close to Mitzrayim, the desert of Sinai, but we are now in different places all around the world. But the spiritual consequences are the same. We are human beings like they were human beings, and we have all these character traits, which called in Hebrew is called midot, and we have to learn how to correct our midot, how to train the character traits, in order to be transformed. I remember Shaul says in Romans 12, verse 2, he says, I beseech you, brother, do not be conformed to this world, but be you transformed by the renewing of your mind. And we transform ourselves when we, Shabbat after Shabbat, week after week, month after month, we read the Torah of Moshe, when the Torah is a bread of life, is a bread of life unto us. And we learn to grow, to be established in the truth, and not in the doctrine of man. Now, when we are beginners, it is, of course, it is difficult to understand the different level of the Torah. As I said before, we have the 4 levels, which is called the Pardes, which start with the Pshat. The Pshat is a literal text. What we read in the Torah, in the literal, tell us a story of the children of Israel. Moshe was sent by Elohim to bring them out from Mitzrayim. Moshe has the role, the function of a Mashiach. He's there to bring them out physically from Mitzrayim. Yeshua, when he came, he is the one who delivers us spiritually from our bondage, from our spiritual Mitzrayim. We have to take out Mitzrayim out of ourselves. To take out Mitzrayim out of ourselves. All what is included in Mitzrayim, all the tradition which are not from Elohim, all the things we have learned must be removed in order to obey Elohim. This is what the promises is: blessing. Blessing for obedience. Blessing. And we will see that the consequence of disobeying is terrible. It's terrible. Now, we need to learn this process in this parasha. And he say here, he say, you shall fear Jehovah thy Elohim and serve him and shall swear by his name. In Proverbs you can read, the fear of Jehovah is the beginning of wisdom. Okay? So the fear is not to be scared. The fear is to have a high respect for the one who has called us in the kingdom of Yeshua. Because we live this emunah, this faith, through Yeshua, not ourselves. Because we are a nature which is totally corrupted by sin. We all were sinners. Today we might sin, but we are no more sinners because we are renewed in the inner man through Yeshua, who works in us. It is He who works in us. We are being transformed. We are a new creature, but inside. But this flesh is corrupted. This flesh cannot see the kingdom of Elohim. So we need to understand that now we have to feed ourselves with the word of Elohim. And we know that there are many doctrines outside, many doctrines from people who have never learned the right context. I repeat it again. Don't forget that what we call the Brit Hadashah, so falsely called the New Testament, is a Jewish book written by Jew for Jew first. He has been hijacked by people, by Rome, in order to make doctrines outside the context of Judaism, which is absolutely wrong. If you think I am promoting Judaism, no, I don't promote Judaism. I promote truth, because the truth is held by Yehuda. Yehuda be entrusted with the word of truth, with the covenant. They never left the covenant. So today we need to understand that we need to be humble ourselves in order to learn. And we can learn when we read text from our bread, from Yehuda, from Judaism, and there is beautiful teaching that we can read, either if they believe in Yeshua or if not believing in Yeshua. Don't make the mistake, because they know much more about Mashiach than we can imagine. They know about the Mashiach, and all the rest has a purpose. So we need to humble ourselves and to learn. When we learn, we grow, we are transformed, and everything will be fine, because when Mashiach comes back, the last obstacle will be removed, and we will be one nation, as it is written in the book of Ezekiel 37. We will be one nation, one banner. So we don't have to worry about that. But until this time, we need to humble ourselves and to learn. So I have said, I think in the last parasha, in the last parasha, or in the last video, I said that if you are in an assembly where the leader do not teach the Torah, you are in the wrong place. You are in the wrong place. You need to leave, because you will never grow. You will learn doctrines. You will learn things which are not profitable for your life and which just bring bondage. So please think about that and read the Torah for yourself and try to learn what is good and profitable for your soul. Here I keep going. You see, Elohim encouraged the people. He encouraged them, do not fear the enemies. Remember, in the same chapter, in chapter 7:1, we read that, let me see, 7:1, he read, yes. When Jehovah thy Elohim shall bring thee into the land whither you go to possess it, and has cast out many nations before you, and he gave the nation, the Hittites, the Girgashites, and the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite, 7 nations greater and mightier than you. He said that. So he said, you don't have to fear for that, because I will be with you. You see, even when the enemy comes, Elohim said, do not fear, because I am with you. I am with you always. You know, it is written in the Psalm, it is written, he who watch over Israel, neither slumber nor sleep, is always with us. We don't have to fear. We are always to be trusting Jehovah and walking in our emunah, our trust, our relationship, relationship with Elohim. And he gives us a condition, he tells them, neither you shall marriage with them. Thy daughter you shall not give unto his son, nor his daughter shall you take unto thy son. This is a warning that many times in our modern day life, people ignore. And they ignore because of ignorance. Okay? So they make big mistake. I don't speak from those who are already married when they come into the Torah, in the Shabbat, in the covenant. I speak from those who are already, since some time, in many years, in the Torah, and the children go to marriage and pick somebody from outside the covenant. That is a big mistake. Do not make this mistake, but encourage your children to seek for somebody who has the same mind. We need to have people who have the same mind, to go, to work together. You understand? This is very, very important. So, we have warning, and we should believe that, we should learn that, not to fall into our own mind. We need to renew our mind. Now, Jehovah promised to remove the nation before them. And we keep going. In the chapter 8, he tells them, he gave them warning also, not to forget when you are prosperous, that it doesn't come from us. You understand? You see, look, all the commandments which I command you this day shall you observe to do. Observe to do. You say, observe to do. Okay, we have to listen to the commandments in order to observe them, and not just to hear. Remember Yaakov, in the Brit Hadashah, said, do not be a hearer of the word, but be a doer of the word. We need to hear in order to do. And this is very important. So if I don't study the Torah, how can I know? I had a discussion yesterday with somebody, and he told me that the 10 davars are enough. How it is possible that 10 davars are enough, and that the others mitzvot, the other commandments, the statute and the mishpatim, and all are not for us today, but just the 10 commandments. I say, okay, how do you know what a woman shall do when she has a menstruation? What do you do? How do you know? How do you know what the man position is when his wife has a menstruation? That's one point, but there are many others. How do you know what it means to love his neighbor as yourself? If you don't, it's not in the 10 davars. It's not. You cannot see it. And there are hundreds of these examples that we can find in the Torah, where the Torah gives us specific ways how to work out the Torah, how we work in the Torah. So you see, the 10 davars are the console, are the foundation of the 613 commandments, mitzvot. 613 are built on the 10 davars. If we don't understand that, we are mistaken. And if we have a teacher who teaches that, he's a false teacher. Period. Okay? And he said here, he said, this commandment, all the commandments which I command you this day, shall you observe to do, that you may live and multiply and go in and possess the land which Jehovah swore unto your fathers. You shall remember all the way which Jehovah Elohim led thee these 40 years in the wilderness, to humble thee in the wilderness, to prove thee, to know what is in thine heart, whether you would keep his commandments or not. Here's very interesting, because I spoke this morning with my beloved wife about what come across our life. You see, we are also in the wilderness of life. And there are many things coming across our life. We have to understand that when something comes across our life, it is known to Elohim. It's not per accident. Forget that. Nothing happens in this world which is by accident. It does not happen by accident. It happens by purpose. Purpose. Everything, if I understand that, I will progress in my life. Everything that happened in my life has a purpose, has a reason to be. Even if it seems to be very small. But we walk in a way, and many things come across our ways that will help us to grow. To grow. That is the purpose of life, to grow. To be transformed more and more in the image of our adult Yeshua. This is the purpose of our life. This flesh is commanded to die. This flesh is commanded to die. Remember Shaul, Paul say, flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of Elohim. He has two faces. Yes, we must die first. We will die all. We should die literally. And we should also die to our flesh spiritually. Because the flesh is bound to the earth. To this lowest level. To the earth. What we will do is to grow. The true self is inside us. That is the true self. And this is the one who should be built up. And he can only be built up when we feed him. When we feed him with the word of truth, with the Torah, with the bread of life. And if we don't do it, then we cannot expect that we grow. We remain babies. We remain babies. So we need to take from the Torah, from the bread of life, to feed our soul, to be transformed. So when anything comes into your life, before fighting, before complaining, just think about that. What is the purpose of that? And sometimes it's not obvious, but it is there for a purpose. I'll give you an example. You meet somebody and you don't like what he said. You don't like. But before you judge, before you put your opinions, then think about that. What is the reason I don't like it? Is it because he doesn't speak like I want? Or he doesn't speak what I believe? That's no reason. That's no reason. We have to check if what he say is accurate according to the Torah or not. If it is not accurate, we don't have to take it. But if it is accurate, I will have to change my way. I will have to change my mind in order to correct myself. This is one purpose, you see. So before judging people, we have to look what is the purpose of this meeting with this man, with this person, with these people, with this assembly. He has a reason. And sometimes he makes us to take decision. Remember our fathers, Abraham. Abraham was to leave his place of birth because of idolatry. You see, he had to take a decision. Do you think that Abraham did not love his father, his mother, his relative? Yes, he did. But he had a choice to make. And his choice was to live because he wanted to follow the only true Elohim, the Elohim Chai, the living Elohim, in order to be transformed, to be changed, and to become the great man, the friend of Elohim. You see, this is the same for us. We will have such a decision in our life. And here, Elohim is teaching us the way to do it. The way to do it. And he said that we have to be careful when we go. For instance, when we are blessed by Elohim, we will read in this portion that we have to be careful and not to forget that it is Elohim who has blessed us, and not to take it for granted because I am smart, because I am greater than others. You know, some change the situation and are promoted in their work or find a better place to work and might think, oh yes, you know, because of my diploma, because of my talent. No, it's not so. It is because Elohim wants you to go this way and he let you go this way, but behind it, we have to know it has a purpose for my life and how I will react to this change in my life, I have not to forget that if I got this new situation, which is a bad situation for me and my family, I don't have to forget and to give thanks to the one who brought me so far. Don't forget, don't ever forget, because this is the beginning. When we forget, this is the beginning of the end, and we will go more and more in the wrong direction. So we have to understand that. Okay? You see, he said, look, he said, Yehovah, the Elohim, bring you into a good land, a land of brooks, of water, of fountain and depth, that spring out of valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, vines, fig trees, pomegranate, a land of olive oil and honey. So in particular, this verse, which is the verse 8 from the chapter 8, if you want to understand the deepest meaning of these species from the land of Canaan, which will become the land of the children of Israel, you will have to watch the video. I give you the link. It is beautiful. You will see that. And it's a land wherein you shall eat bread without scarceness. You shall not lack any in it. A land whose stones are iron, and out of whose hills you may dig brass. When you are eaten and are full, then you shall bless Yehovah the Elohim for the good land which he has given you. You see? Don't forget, when you are full, to bless Elohim. So here the commandment is to bless Elohim when we are full. But it's very interesting because, again, in this video you will learn why we bless Yehovah before we eat, not after. We bless Elohim 2 times, before we eat and after we eat. The first one is not in the Torah, it is through the halakha that we find it, but we have the proof that Yeshua followed the halakha, because when he made the last supper with his Talmidim, then he blessed Yehovah before he broke the bread, and he said, Baruch atah Yehovah Eloheinu melech haolam. He blessed before bringing the bread. So we have to understand that, and he blessed for the wine. There are 2 blessings, for the bread and for the wine. And after that, according to the Torah, he blessed also. So we have to understand that we need to go and to see that halakha is not always wrong, but there is things which are very important to understand, because if you watch the video, you will see that this halakha has been built on some verse from the Tanakh. Okay? So now you have also to understand that there is a consequence for rebelling against Elohim. He has been always. If we look, if we look in the Torah, in the Tanakh, this means the Torah, the prophets, and the writings, we can see the life of the children of Israel until the time of Yeshua and after the time of Yeshua. The restoration of all things, this means the final tikkun, the final restoration could have happened before. It could have happened in the time of Moshe. It could have happened in all the time, in the time of the king Ezekiah. It could have happened in the time of Yeshua. It didn't happen. For a reason. Because the heart of the people was not right. The heart of the people was not right. And if you think that today Mashiach will come because we are better, then we are mistaken. We are the same. We are the same. We are imperfect. Elohim will establish the kingdom because he promised it, and his promises are bound to Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, not because we are better. We are not better now for fathers. From the flesh, we are bound to this earth, and many times we fell short. So don't forget that when we think that we are better, Elohim will show us that we are not better. We should be humble and listen to Elohim and give thanks every day for his goodness, his mercy. As it is written, his goodness is new every day. Hallelujah. So now, I want to give a point in the chapter 10, in the verse 12, he say, and now Israel, remember we are in the last month before Moshe will die and entering the land of Canaan. And now Israel, what does Jehovah the Elohim require of you but to fear Jehovah the Elohim, to walk in all his ways, to love him and to serve Jehovah the Elohim with all thy heart, with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of Jehovah and his statutes, which I command you this day for thy good. Behold, the heaven and the heaven of heaven is Jehovah's, the Elohim, the earth also with all that therein is. Only Jehovah has a delight in thy fathers, to love them, and he chose their seed after them, you above all people, as it is this day. You see, he loved thy fathers, plural, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart, and be no more stiff-necked. For Jehovah your Elohim is Elohim of Elohim, and is Master of Masters, a great Elohim, a mighty and a terrible, which regardeth not persons nor takes reward. He does execute the judgment of the fatherless and widow, love the stranger in giving him food and raiment. Love you therefore the stranger, for you are stranger in the land of Mitzrayim. You shall fear Jehovah the Elohim, shall you serve, and to him shall you cleave and swear by his name. He is thy praise, he is thy Elohim. He has done for you this great and terrible thing which thine eyes have seen. Thy fathers went down into Mitzrayim with 70 persons, and now Jehovah thy Elohim has made thee as the stars of heaven for multitude. Very interesting. Now, this is the warning, he said, to keep the commandments that he gave us. Today, we are privileged to have the Torah. We have no excuse. Those who try to find an excuse because my leader tell me the 10 words are enough, or it's not important. We have now Yeshua. Yeshua did everything for me. That is nonsense. Yeshua was a Jew. He kept the Torah perfectly. He kept it by the Spirit, not by the letter, by the Spirit. He was the one who loved his Father. He loved his Father so much that he was ready and gave his life for you and me and for all those who return to him. You see, so this is why Elohim today requires for us also. It is a great challenge. It is a great challenge. We have to leave our comfort zone. We have to understand that if I am not ready to pay the price, then I am in the wrong place. It's better go into the world. But if I am ready, I have to know what the Torah tell me, what the word of the living Elohim tell me, what I have to do when I follow Yeshua. Following Yeshua is the same as those coming out from Mitzrayim, Egypt, following Moshe. That is the same. What we see in the Torah, we learn rebellion. Rebellion against Moshe. Are you willing to rebel against Yeshua? No, I think not. We love Yeshua because Elohim loves us first. It is written. Our love is not based on our capacity of love. It is based on the capacity of Elohim to love us first. He has poured his love in our heart. This is what we love. And he said, we shall love one another. Yeshua said to his Talmidim, you want to be a Talmidim of Yeshua? He said, by your love, they will know that you are my Talmidim. By your love, not by your knowledge, not by what you are doing, by your love. If today, for some futile, for poor reason, you don't love your brother because he doesn't speak the name like you, because he doesn't do the things like you, then you are outside. You don't understand that the love is patient, the love is kind, the love is willing to forgive. The love is what is the essence of Elohim himself. So we have to understand that, and we have to pour out this love toward others. Yes, we have to rebuke. If it's wrong, we rebuke. But rebuke do not stop the love. Rebuking somebody do not stop the love. We have to learn all this level. We have to understand that I can rebuke somebody and love him. I rebuke somebody because I love him. As Elohim rebuke us and correct us because he's our Father. It is written in, if you go into the Proverbs chapter 3, I will read for you Proverbs chapter 3. He say, okay, yes, verse 11-12, he said, my son, despise not the chastening of Jehovah, neither be weary of his correction, for whom Jehovah loves, he correcteth, even as a father, the son, he delighteth. Now, this verse, we find it again in the book of Hebrew, and I will read. In the book of Hebrew, we have the same words. Here, in verse chapter 12, we read, you have forgotten the exhortation we speak unto you as unto children. My son, despise not you the chastening of Jehovah, nor fail when you are rebuked of him. For whom Jehovah loves, he chasteneth, and scourge every son whom he receives. If you endure chastening, Elohim deal with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? But if you be without chastisement, whereof all are partaker, then you are a bastard and not a son. This is very important to understand, because sometimes we are confused. Why this happened to me? Why? What I have done? And there is something. I have said in the beginning that all what happened in our life has a purpose. And Elohim will bring things in our life for a purpose. He doesn't chastise you for pleasure. He doesn't punish us by pleasure. He does it for our good, in order that we think, in order that we turn back, in order sometimes that we make a tshuva, that we repent for what wrong we have done against somebody, against one brother, against a man, against a person. We need to think about that. Before anything we should every day, every single day, listen to me, every single day, we should make to look at what was in our life on this very day. We should look at it, and we should see what was my life today, what I have done today. Before I go to sleep, I will close my day and ask Elohim to forgive me if ever I have sinned against his Torah, against him. Okay? So don't forget that, because it's very important. If we want to change our attitude, we need to know that Elohim give us warning. He gave the warning to the children of Israel, which are for us today. The children of Israel were chosen people. You are chosen people. It's not me who said that. It is written in the Torah. Kepha, in first Kepha, said that. You are a chosen people. If you are a chosen people, don't be surprised if Elohim correct you, or correct us. He changes us, he molds us. He wants us to be the light of this world. When Mashiach comes back, all Israel will be the light of the world. All nations will come to the light. They will come to the light, which is Mashiach, and it is Israel. So if we want to be part of it, we need to accept today the challenge of correction, the challenge of enduring, the challenge to go through through the challenge of life. Okay? So this is one of the purpose of studying the Torah. By the way, if you think that Torah is not for today, you go to the book of Acts chapter 15, you will see that everyone from among the nation, because it is written, from among the nation. If we go in the book of Acts, we see exactly that it is for us today, for all those who turn to the Torah. He said here, it is Jacob speaking after the discussion they had, because Paul and Barnabas came back to them on the question of the circumcision in order to be saved. So which is absolutely wrong. Jacob said, wherefore my sentence is that we trouble not them which from among the Goyim, the nations, are turned to Elohim, but that we write unto them that they abstain from pollution of idols, from fornication, from things strangled, and from blood. It's not finished. He said, for Moshe of all time, as in every city, them that preach him, been read in the assembly every Shabbat day. You see, when we go to the assemblies for one purpose, to learn Torah. It is written here, it's not me. It was so in the first century, in the time of Yeshua. And it is the same today. We go to an assembly, if we go to an assembly, to learn the Torah and to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. So, the Torah is a tree of life. Those who reject the study of the Torah reject Elohim. We cannot love Elohim and reject the Torah. It is written, Yohanan, you can read the book of 1 Yohanan, you will see what is the love. The love is to love the commandment of Elohim. The love is to love his brother. The love is to love all the Torah. So I hope you read the Torah. I have given you this Torah. I hope you have read, or you will read, from Devarim 7:12 to Devarim 11:25. And the Haftarah also, which is the book of Yeshayahu 14 to 51:3. So they will see again the Haftarah is a promise for the children of Israel and the blessing which Elohim has in store when he will restore Israel. So I hope you will be blessed with this word. I encourage you, everyone, to think about this word, that we all need to learn the Torah. If you have the possibility to go to some place where you can learn from another perspective than Christianity. Christianity has made a big mistake to reject the Torah and to teach something which the Torah and the PARASHAH never teach. So, if you have the opportunity, I will not give you place, but there are some very good teaching, and I will give you one place today for this short video, 30 minutes. We show you why it is so important to understand, because the Brit Hadashah in many places cannot be read in the literal. We must dig into it, into the drash, into the remes, or into the sword. And for example, the book of Yohanan, John, cannot be read in the pshat, in the literal level. If we want to understand, we will have to have some knowledge in Hebrew understanding and in the Pardes. If we don't have, we miss the message of Yohanan. We miss all what he say. Shao is the same. Shao make many drash based on Hebrew understanding, not in a Greek mindset. So please be patient with yourself in learning, and you will see that it's beautiful. Beautiful to learn in the right context and take some Jewish teaching which will help you. Don't make the mistake to say, oh, I don't go to the Jew because they don't have Yeshua. No, that is totally wrong. That is totally wrong. If you go to Yehuda, you go to learn what we cannot learn if we don't accept that Yehuda is the one who has been entrusted with the Torah. The Torah is a covenant between Yehovah and his people. So, brother and sister, understand that. So I will say shalom. I wish you Shavuot Tov, blessing, and many blessings, that Yehovah be your guide throughout the week through Mashiach Yeshua. Amen. See you next time. See you next week. Shalom.